The following podcast contains spoilers for Gosford. Fuck.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. The following podcast contains spoilers for Gosford Park and Strangers on a Train. You have been warned.
Welcome back, everybody, to KFR News Radio. This is your host, Benjamin Button, along with your host, Miguel Magusto.
Bonjour.
Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro. How's it going, Glenn?
It is going, my friend, as
That's
always.
Good. Hey, I got a question for you.
I've got an answer.
Who voices Darth Vader in the Star Wars movies? God damn, these need to be better.
Which ones? That's the important questions.
Well, he voiced...
So it
Darth Vader
be,
always has the live action, but...
Could be technically Hayden Christensen in the last of his trilogy, because that's when he turns into Darth Vader. If not that, then it must be James Earl Jones.
But in the trilogy, they still get James Earl Jones to do the voice of Vader. When he's Anakin, it's Hayden Christensen, but when he turns to Vader, they get the James Earl Jones. So, you lawyered.
Because technically when he turns into Vader is when he's still Hayden Christensen, when he's slaughtering the children.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, I could, you know what? I concede that argument.
Lawyer!
Oh, no.
Oh, man, there's a ring in there.
Yeah, that was real loud.
My God is right behind me. It's like, you're right, friend.
Did you see any movies last week that are worth noting?
Let's see. No, I've been trying to catch up on Avatar, as I have been for the last, month. Mm-hmm. I'm on, season 2, almost at the end of it. And other than that, I think I went to see Brightburn.
Ooh.
Which before I even speak about that, I want to wait till you see it, and then we will talk about it.
Yeah, I should see it by next week's episode, so we will talk about it then. Is that it?
That's it.
Well, you know what? I pulled a Glenn and saw absolutely nothing last week.
Whoa! I saw more than you?
Yeah. I'm proud of you.
Let me retract everything I said before. Welcome back to KFR, everybody. I am Miguel Magusto, here with your host, Benjamin Button. Oh, that feels weird to say backwards.
But yeah, so with that being said, I guess let's just get into it, maybe?
All right, that sounds about right.
All right. So let's get into Gosford Park.
At the country house of Sir William McCordle, the guests are wealthy.
If I wanted coffee, I'd have rung for it.
He thinks he's God Almighty. They all do.
Privileged.
Ooh, yummy.
What's she like to work for?
She's a snobbish cow.
Famous.
Mr. Weissman's very odd. Apparently, he produces motion pictures.
Hello, I'm Morris Wiseman.
Who? The servants are loyal.
I just wanted to be sure you had everything you need.
Discreet.
You shouldn't sneak up on people like that.
Don't worry, it's nobody.
Devoted.
Thank you. Oh, you've got some hair on your dress.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Weissman, tell us about the film you're going to make.
It's a detective story. Murder in the middle of the night, a lot of guests for the weekend, everyone's a suspect.
And who turns out to have done it?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. It would spoil it for you.
Oh, but none of us will see it.
Directed by Robert Altman and written by Julian Fellows, based upon the idea by Robert Altman and Bob Balaban, starring Maggie Smith, Michael Gambon, Kristen Scott Thomas, Camilla Rutherford, Charles Dance, Geraldine Summerfield, a whole shit ton of people that you know and love.
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people. Gosford Park tells the story of the lives of upstairs guests and the downstairs servants at a party in 1932 in a country house in England as they investigate a murder involving one of them. Yeah, that's it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So it is a star-studded cast for what is essentially, as you put last week, Clue, but not as funny.
It's a serious Clue.
It does have its comedic moments, but it is mostly serious. Overall, I did enjoy it, but I thought they could have cut a massive chunk out of the first hour or so.
Yeah. First hour was very slow. Everybody had to react or interact with each other, and
Yeah.
they had to have a party and such like that.
And it was interesting enough to keep me going, but it definitely, I felt like they gave too much depth to too many characters, which is kind of a problem with how, renowned this cast is. They all deserve their time on screen, but I don't think it warranted it for this story.
I think that although I liked the character depth for the most part, they showed a lot of characters and like who they were and what they had about the gripe of the victim, or didn't have the gripe of the victim. I think they made it too predictable. Who, in my opinion, who most likely was the candidate for murder.
Until I would say the end when it's revealed that, because the guy who, they chalk it up to this whole thing that this guy's gonna get stabbed. Even the poster has a guy with a knife in his back, so who that's gonna be the whole time. So it kind of makes you not that interested until it's revealed that what he didn't kill the person.
Yeah.
And it's revealed that someone else had committed the murder by poisoning before the knife, which ended up being Helen Mirren. And that honestly, we already said spoilers. That honestly was I thought like a great twist.
Yeah, that was a nice plot twist. I honestly wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and it was built up the whole time too. It wasn't out of left field where, he Clive Owen, who is the person that you think is the murderer until it's revealed that what he didn't actually kill the person, and was post-mortem. And they build his character as being an orphan who his mother worked in a factory, his father was a rich man, and it really developed that well and made it believable, to the point where it was easily predictable who it was going to be, as far as before the fake happens, before the poisoning is revealed. So I really enjoyed that, and then when they revealed that Helen Mirren was Clive Owen's, she the aunt or was she the actual mother? I can't remember.
She was the mother.
She was the mother, and because there's a point where she was talking about it like she was the aunt, and then
I think she wanted them to believe that she was the aunt.
Yeah.
See, now you got me second guessing.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that she was the mother.
Because she likes yelling my boy" at the end of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the whole thing. It creates like this really good mystery around it, and pretty much from I would say 10-15 minutes before the murder happened, when all the servants are listening to the musician play. And it's kind of like this nice calm where everyone's kind of happy for like the first time in the movie. Everyone's kind of on the same page, and then till the end, that really kept my interest and was very well paced. But up until then, I just kind of felt it was a little too slow of a burn. Probably in the first 30-45 minutes, they could have cut that in half, essentially, in my opinion.
I believe so too. I knew as soon as William, I forget his last name, but McCordle. As soon as I saw him drink the what the hell was it? He had the chick that was with him in his library give him a drink. As soon as I knew he was taking the drink, I knew he was taking poison. I was like, ooh, there's some suspicious fuckery going on here.
I honestly probably stopped paying attention at that point because I missed that. But I knew he was in the office, but I must have missed her giving him the drink.
Yeah, they had a shot that was a little bit more pay attention to the shot when he was taking his drink, but they didn't show any poison or anything. They were just here he is, just drinking his drink and slugging it back. I knew at that moment, I was like, he just drank some fucking poison. Yeah,
because they had a shot earlier when Kelly MacDonald's character is washing a shirt, where she leans forward thinking she hears something, and you just see a bottle of poison, and they focus on it for a while. So it was... They definitely nodded at it a lot. Yeah, they wanted you to kind of get what was going on.
Maybe a little too hard, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the best part of this movie is that I personally, granted, I kind of my focus kept going in and out in the first 45 minutes. Like I said, I personally did not see Helen Mirren being Clive Owen's mother coming.
No, there's only one real, not even evidence, but just like moment they have together where you're like, there's something fucky with those two, or like she knows who that mother is, but like that's it. You don't expect Helen Mirren to be anything other than maybe like a, what's the word for it? Like somebody who knows somebody, acquaintance or whatever.
Acquaintance, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they did a really good job at, like, during the party, when everyone's dancing, of kind of making you second guess yourself. Like, you more or less knew it was going to be Clive Owen, especially when you saw the pinstripe suit of the murderer, just because he was, like, the only one wearing a pinstripe suit. But, they did a good job at making you second guess yourself, especially with, maybe it was Tom Hollander's character for being embarrassed about not being able to get money from him, and then
to get his job back.
Yeah, so until you actually see the murder with the pinstripe suit, it does make you like, oh, maybe this is going to happen, maybe that's going to happen. And then it kind of just goes the way you thought initially. But I did appreciate the events that made you second guess yourself.
Yeah, especially everybody around the party was having a bunch of fun, and you knew one of these possibly three gentlemen murdered the shit out of William McCordle.
Yes, played by Michael Gambon. Another gripe I have with it kind of, the way the murder was shot, you could tell that Michael Gambon was already dead.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's already rated R, so the fact that there was no blood, I was like, oh, he's already dead.
Yeah. It's especially the way he was lying down, then lifted up, and then flopped back down.
Yeah.
You knew he was definitely dead already.
So I not that I wanted there to be blood, because obviously that's a huge plot point, is that he was already dead. I just kind of wish they shot it differently to make it less obvious. So when they revealed that he was already dead, when the stab to his heart happened, it wasn't. It was more impactful,
Yeah.
One thing,
because it was kind of lift, stab, drop, done.
Exactly. One thing I absolutely loved about this were the two detectives, where Stephen Fry is the main detective, and he's just kind of going about his job, and then I think his name's like Constable Dexter or something like that, or Detective Dexter. He's actually doing, like, Constable Dexter, played by Ron Webster. He's actually doing great detective work, but Stephen Fry just keeps, like, shrugging him off.
Yeah, he's straight up doing his job. He's like, no, that's we'll leave that to the other people.
Yeah, he's just like, there's a broken teacup on the floor here, and Stephen Fry's just like, that is not our job to clean that up.
Now is not the time.
That honestly made the whole movie worth it to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, those two were funny.
They were great together, and the fact that Constable Dexter was actually trying, and you could tell that Stephen Fry couldn't give a shit about the actual murder. It was a great dark comedy there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall the cast was great. Ryan Philippe, who essentially plays an American actor who's going undercover as a Scottish servant for like
for an acting gig.
He was actually good. I'm not a huge fan of Ryan Philippe, but I was really impressed with him in this. Kelly MacDonald is great as always. Maggie Smith, the whole cast, it was great.
There was one actor that I actually am very sad he didn't get more screen time, because anytime he's in a movie, he usually just takes full charge of a performance, and that's Charles Dance.
Oh, Charles Dance, yeah.
Yeah, dude is just the intimidation train, and he didn't get that much screen time, let alone lines or anything like that.
Yeah, I think I don't know why. I personally felt like they were trying to make him more mysterious.
Yeah.
So you might think.
And granted, he was mysterious.
Yeah.
But mysterious to the point where you didn't really know anything about him other than maybe his name.
Yeah, so like there was a point where like I thought maybe Clive Owen's character stabbed him for Charles Dance's character.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever reason, you know, I didn't have any idea why that would have happened, but I thought it may have happened just because of how mysterious his character was. But I agree with you. I think he was underutilized, but I also think that was a choice as far as like the storytelling goes.
Yeah. I get the only real gripe I had with it is I couldn't really pay attention to who was who, like name wise. There were so many people in this movie.
Yeah, that's the problem with any movie with a huge cast with a lot of important characters.
I mean, they were all great, granted, but like there was so many people like rushing at you, and even in the scenes when the detectives first come into the scene, they're like immediately introduced to these like hundreds of people in this house, and like, they were even overwhelmed. They're like, "Oh, Miss Stockbridge, hello."
Yeah, and that might have been like a little bit of a British comedy touch, but it didn't translate to me at least.
It was a lot for me and my tiny little brain.
Really, the only characters whose names I knew were Mrs. Threntham, who was Maggie Smith, because she's like the first character or the first rich character you're introduced to. Kelly MacDonald's character, whose name I'm forgetting now, but I was able to know who they were talking about anytime they mentioned her. Mary McKeekren. Mary McKeekren.
Yeah, the one named Elaine or something like that.
Yeah, and then both Ivor Novello and Morris Wiseman, they also were introduced early. So essentially, like the first 5 characters that were introduced, were the ones that were easy to keep track of.
The ones that really stick with you.
Yeah, definitely. But overall, I liked it. I think they definitely could have cut down the beginning just to keep the pacing better.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt the movie as much as it has with other movies as far as pacing goes.
That's for me. That's really all I have to say about it, to be honest.
Yeah, same here.
It's enjoyable.
Why would anyone want to kill him? Well, he wasn't exactly Father Christmas.
I think he's got something to hide, that one.
Do you think he's the murderer?
It's worse than that. He's an actor.
What about that low bullet that nearly killed him that morning they were out?
Sir, we haven't dusted those things for fingerprints yet.
Good.
USA Films presents a film by Robert Altman.
I was just wondering if you wanted some company.
I suppose life must go on.
Alan Bates, Stephen Fry, Michael Gambon, Derek Jacobi, Kelly MacDonald, Helen Mirren, Jeremy Northam, Clive Owen, Ryan Phillippe, Kristen Scott Thomas, Maggie Smith, Emily Watson.
Tough luck on whoever's got any secrets to hide.
How horrid.
Gosford Park.
Perhaps the butler did it.
So, let's move on to Strangers on a Train.
Two fellows meet, like you and I. No connection between them whatsoever. Each one has somebody that he'd like to get rid of. So, they swap murders.
Fantastic, isn't it? You didn't know when Bruno proposed this pact that he was serious. Dead serious. You had made the mistake of speaking to a stranger on a train. And now, wherever you go, whatever you do, you find yourself dominated by his evil presence. And you, Bruno, to you, killing was the answer. Murder without clue, without motive. The perfect crime. Too perfect. And Anne, life looked very attractive to you. Until the love in your heart became gripped by a terror that drew you deeper and deeper into this vortex of conspiracy.
Strangers on a Train. Strangers on a Train is directed by Alfred Hitchcock, written by Raymond Chandler, a screenplay by, good luck with this one, Zenzi Ormande. I don't know why I put the accent on it, Ormond. Stars Farley Granger, Robert Walker, Ruth Roman, and a couple other people in there. Strangers on a Train is about a psychopath who forces a tennis star to comply with his theory that two strangers can get away with murder. Ooh.
Yeah.
Scandalous.
Fun fact, I'm sure you know this, and and I'm pretty sure you changed your mind because I mentioned Throw Mama from a Train last week. But this Throw Mama from a Train is based on this.
Yeah.
And I saw this for the first time in college in my my film history class when we were learning about Alfred Hitchcock, and I was blown away by it the first time I watched it. But I'll let you get into it since you picked the movie. Let's
Okay.
give you some time.
This is, I believe, the second Hitchcock movie that I've done for this podcast, right?
I can't remember the first if you did.
I can't either, but I'm pretty sure this is. Regardless, I have a collection of Alfred Hitchcock movies that I'm trying to get through, and this obviously was one of them.
Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock is great. He's as you pointed out last week, he's one of my favorite directors. I think he's great.
So obviously this was on the list, so I was like, you know what, let's do it. Let's knock it out. And I knew this had a lot of influence in the modern filmmaking world today still.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So I was like, you know, this is definitely going to be a good one to watch.
Yeah.
And hadn't heard of it. Well, that's a lie. I have heard of it. I just hadn't gotten ever around to it in my 4 years of actual getting to being a movie buff.
Did I tell you to watch this one? I feel like I probably would have.
No.
Okay.
Rope was definitely one of them.
Rope is great. That also stars Farley Granger.
And Rear Window was definitely one too.
Yeah. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I think the cast is great. Robert Walker as Bruno Anthony. He was creepy which is hard to do in movies back then. Like, you see thrillers and horror movies from back then, and it's kind of hard for them to live up to today's standards of creepy and whatnot. But Robert Walker as Bruno Anthony was legitimately unsettling at times.
He seriously was. Right from the beginning, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Especially Robert Walker, because he gives a performance like it's just an actual psychopath.
Yeah.
Just the way his mannerisms go, to just the way he acts around Guy Haynes, the second stranger, or the first one, whichever. Who cares? Just the way he performs in this movie is just fantastic. Especially, like you were saying, especially back then, because it was so hard to like even nail that role.
Yeah, with the censors and everything, you have to you can't show too much.
Like even Psycho, I think this is a better Psycho than Psycho. Is that a hot take? I don't know.
I would say it's a hot take. Mainly just because Norman Bates is such a memorable character, and that's not to say Bruno Anthony isn't. I think this the thing about Psycho is that Psycho was a national phenomenon.
Yeah,
where because of the marketing, like, it was legitimately a blockbuster. Everyone said that Jaws was probably the first blockbuster, but I personally believe that Psycho was the first blockbuster.
Yeah.
And that's not to take anything away from Jaws, because that's
they both
a great
had
movie
a huge
as well.
impact.
Yeah, but the way Alfred Hitchcock just marketed Psycho brilliantly, to the point where, like, back then you could buy a ticket. Pretty much the way movie theaters worked back then is they just had a movie going constantly all day, every day. And you would just buy a ticket, go in whenever you wanted, and leave whenever you wanted. But Psycho was the first one where they had designated showtimes, where they're just like, you got to get here by this time, or else you're not going in. And I know we're talking about Strangers on a Train, so I'm done talking about Psycho.
No, it's fine, because I also wanted to say they are completely different characters.
Yeah.
You don't really see Norman Bates being a psycho until, obviously, the psycho part.
Yeah, I think that's probably why he comes off as a better psycho, because other than him being a peeping Tom, he seems like a relatively normal dude who's just trying to protect his mother until the reveal. But in this, he's insane,
straight psychotic
from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell even when
he's very, very charismatic.
Yeah.
But, like, you can tell, like, this dude's up to no good.
Yeah. Where, like, the I guess real world comparisons would be Psycho is more like Ed Gein, he was actually based on, and then Bruno Anthony is more like Ted Bundy, who is actually charming and charismatic, but equally psychotic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just in different ways. I think another great person in this, she's kind of the comedic relief in this, is Alfred Hitchcock's daughter, Patricia Hitchcock, who plays Barbara Morton. And she is always great. She's always like the comedic relief in movies, in Hitchcock movies, just because she's just kind of funny. and I think Hitchcock kind of recognized that and was just like, no other actor is gonna want to be the comedic relief in these movies, so I'll just cast my daughter. She was fantastic. And in this, she actually did quite a bit of dramatic acting as well.
She definitely switched lanes there.
Yeah,
when she met Bruno.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I love this movie. I'm really glad I got to watch it a second time.
So I do want to say my gripe that I did have with this movie, and granted, this is me watching it directly after Gosford Park, is that the pacing felt weird. Like a little slow, but then again, I'm just looking at this runtime, and it's 140 or an hour and 40 minutes.
See, I felt like the first 30 minutes flew by.
They did,
and then after that, it did slow down a bit.
But it was really entertaining that first 30 minutes because everything was going on, and then from there, it was a lot of talking, and then stalking and stuff like that.
I would say probably like the second act was paced weirdly, but like the first and third act are really good.
Yeah, then the third one kicked back in, so the second act really slowed it down in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it is what it is. It's still a solid movie, and it deserves to be in every way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was really my only gripe. It's really just a small one.
Yeah, and I love the way Hitchcock adds humor in like really weird parts.
Yeah,
and like in the climactic scene when they're on the merry-go-round that's just going so fast.
I did want to talk about that. Oh my god!
There are two parts I want to talk about. There's the part where the cops are standing around and they're just like, "Well, I don't want to go stop that. Do you want to climb under, go under there?" And then this old guy who's like 95 years old has no teeth. You're just like, "I'll do it." And then
he's been waiting his whole life to say, "This is my moment."
Yeah. And he was a baller, and probably honestly, like if this were a real movie, he would have died because what he did essentially made the merry-go-round blow up.
Seriously, there was so much destruction in that scene.
And then the other part is when they cut to some of the mothers who were waiting for their kids on the merry-go-round, and while it's spinning around real fast, and they're like, my baby, and they cut to this little boy who's like 5-6 years old. He's having the time of his life.
Oh my god. So when he was punching Bruno's character, I was waiting for Bruno to turn and just punch the kid in the face. But obviously that wouldn't have happened, so he just pushed him off his horse.
He tried to push him off the merry-go-round, but
this
Guy
kid's
saved
just
him.
beating the shit out of Bruno. I was just waiting for Bruno to just turn and be like,
yeah, there was a great comedic moment where it's just like the mom is like terrified and the kid's just like having the best time ever. But Hitchcock's always been really good at that. Like even in Psycho's got a lot of funny parts. Rope's got a lot of really funny parts. He's really good at creating comedic moments to break the tension.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why he was the master of suspense. Not only did he know how to build suspense, he knew how to break the tension of the suspense and then get right back into building it right away.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a master of his craft, and I love his films. He's such a great director.
Did you feel in any way that they cast Farley Granger to be like a younger Jimmy Stewart?
I could definitely see that.
That's what I felt like.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart was one of Alfred Hitchcock's go-tos. I mean, he's in Rope. He's in The Man Who Knew Too Much. I think he's in both versions of The Man Who Knew Too Much. He's in Vertigo.
He's in a lot.
Sure, yeah, he's in a lot of Alfred Hitchcock movies. And Farley Granger's in Rope, as we discussed earlier, and I could definitely see him trying to be, or like Hitchcock just telling him to be a young Jimmy Stewart in a way.
Like he didn't have like the accent or anything, but it was like, man, he would definitely rock a young Jimmy Stewart.
Oh yeah, he's the everyman. That's what Jimmy Stewart was known best for, was being the everyman, like someone that audiences can connect to, just because he seemed so down to earth and everything. He wasn't this big character. He was just kind of himself, and I think Farley Granger is a lot like that as well. He kind of had a career like that as well. So yeah, I agree with you. I think he probably was cast to be that young Jimmy Stewart type character.
But this is just speculation, It's
just
not
speculation. Yeah.
Regardless, everybody in this movie was fantastic, especially Farley, especially Robert Walker. Jesus.
Oh yeah, Robert Walker was fantastic. This was nominated for an Oscar. Let's see who it was. It's best cinematography, black and white, because back then they had color and black and white, which it had great cinematography.
It did. Keep going.
I'm a little bummed that Robert Walker didn't get nominated for anything, but he probably would have been supporting. He would have been up against Carl Malden in A Streetcar Named Desire, who won. Gig Young and Come Fill the Cup, Kevin McCarthy in Death of a Salesman, Leo Genn in Quo Vadis, and Peter Ustinov in Quo Vadis. Definitely A Streetcar Named Desire and Death of a Salesman I haven't seen the other one, so I can't comment on that. But yeah, I could definitely see him being nominated as well if maybe it wasn't such a big year.
It was a pretty big year. Yeah. I did want to say I like the soundtrack at the end of the movie too. Back when in the third act, when everything was happening, music was just getting real intense and like switching between like Bruno's character and then Guy's character, like two different styles, and it was just it was real nice.
Yeah, and the scene where Guy's character is trying to finish the tennis match as fast as possible so we can go get it, or stop Robert Walker, Bruno, from planting the lighter there, and then cutting him back and forth between him and then Bruno Anthony losing the lighter was just really great editing too.
Yeah.
Where it's just it kept you on the edge of your seat the whole time, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was real good.
Yeah, real good.
Real good. And that is 68 years old now.
Yeah.
Right? Am I adding that correctly? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Maybe 78. No, 68.
Boom. Yeah. Mathematician, everybody.
Yeah.
Talk about my small brain.
That's pretty much all I got to say.
Samesies, my gamesies.
All right.
To be double-crossed. I have a murder on my conscience, but it's not my murder, Mr. Haynes.
I wonder if you know how much I love you.
Brazen woman, I'm the one to say that. Haynes, hold it!
That will do it for our discussion of Gosford Park and Strangers on a Train, and now we come to Lay Judgment. So, let's get started with Gosford Park. That was mine. I think overall this is a really good movie, and while it's not my kind of movie. I definitely see the appeal for a lot of people. I do think that first act really hurts it more than helps. But it is an enjoyable movie, so I'm a little torn about this, honestly.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts before I make my call.
All right. Well, really the same as you. The first act really kind of slows it down, but I think the predictability of who was going to be not the first killer, but the second killer kind of hurt it. But then when they brought in that there was a real killer, I think it wasn't impactful enough for me because they hinted too much at like poison and stuff like that. So it wasn't really a surprise, especially when Clive Owen went to kill him. So that really hurt it for me. The pacing hurt a little bit, and the fact that there was way too many people in this movie hurt it for me as well. So for me, I'm not gonna make it a shelf boy.
Yeah, I think with this being a mystery, there wasn't enough mystery.
Yeah.
They definitely could have shot it differently so it wasn't so obvious. It's almost as if they wanted you to guess before it happened, but then revealed it like it was this major thing.
I don't know if they just didn't trust the audience or they just kind of put everything in your face. I'm not saying that is what they went for, but like it seemed like it.
Yeah, and I really can't get over the first act. And unlike movies like A Ghost Story or other movies that have slow beginnings, I feel like the slow beginning for this wouldn't assist in the second viewing. Okay. Like to go back to A Ghost Story, with how slow A Ghost Story.
It's there's a lineup of movies and ghost stories. One of them on my screen right now.
Oh, creepy! But with how slow A Ghost Story is, let's just get through this. With how slow A Ghost Story is in the beginning, it helps the rest of the movie, and then helps in the second viewing get you in that mindset of how he's just watching everything happen in real time. With this, it's just kind of like, okay, we get it. They're rich. They're fancy. They're doing all this fancy shit. Let's get on with it. We don't really care about anything. I feel like they could have cut the development of maybe half of the characters to slow that down, or to speed that up. I mean, So I will also say it is not a shelf boy.
Sorry, shelf boy family.
Sorry,
you will not have one more baby member today.
But you might with Strangers on a Train, Glenn.
Right. Alfred Hitchcock, we all know him as the master of suspense and everything like that. Master of cameos and, stuff like that. This was a fantastic movie. It paved the way for a lot of other movies in the future. The acting was phenomenal. The soundtrack was phenomenal. Cinematography even. And the editing at the end especially. I think this deserves to be a shelf boy.
I would agree. This is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated Hitchcock films. It has every example of why he was the master of suspense in this, including like the comedic breaks and everything. So I agree. I agree wholeheartedly that this should be a shelf boy.
Bada bing, a black and white shelf boy.
Yes. So Gosford Park does not make it onto the shelf. Strangers on a Train does make it onto the shelf. That will bring us into next week's films. Glenn, what is your movie for next week?
All right. So the movie I'm picking is because there was a topic last week that we were talking, or I wanted to talk about, but completely bypassed it after we were done KFR. So I'm going to bring it up again. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit. So, did you hear about the news about Robert Pattinson potentially being Batman?
Oh, yes. Yes, I have.
How do you feel about it?
Well, I think anyone who thinks it's a bad idea did not see any movie of his other than Twilight, in which case, why the fuck are you watching Twilight? That's a terrible movie. But he is a really good actor that honestly did his career the best way he could. He did Twilight and was very vocal about it, that he was doing it just to not be homeless anymore. He was living on his friend's couch when he found out he was being cast as Edward in Twilight. So you can't harp on someone for taking a job for the sole purpose of not being homeless anymore.
Exactly. And he made a lot of money off of that.
And he made a lot of money.
He didn't like doing it.
He didn't like doing it. He made a lot of money so he could do the projects he wanted to do. To name a few, you have High Life, you have Good Time.
Whoa. Speaking of Good Time.
Oh.
So, I wanted to throw in a little ringer here to not shut everybody up about it, but just see that this man can act. That he has the potential to be a Bruce Wayne Batman. So I'm going to throw in Good Time for the podcast next week.
I dig it. Who wrote it and such?
All right, we got Good Time, directed by Benny Safdie. And also Josh Safdie. Stars Robert Pattinson and Benny Safdie and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Yeah. Good Time is about Robert Pattinson stars in a fast-paced heist thriller about a bank robber who will stop at nothing to free his brother from prison, launching him into a night-long odyssey through New York's dark and dangerous criminal underworld.
Mm-hmm. And just to name a few more of the great movies he's been in since Twilight, he was in The Rover, The Childhood of a Leader. That one's not great, but it's pretty good. Lost City of Z, Good Time, as we said, High Life. And then he is in a movie that is sweeping Cannes right now called The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe, directed by Robert Eggers, who did The Witch. So he is a solid actor who is getting good work in great films. And anyone who cannot see past Twilight is a fucking moron. And I will say that to anyone's face. Come fight me, bros.
So the cool thing about most of the movies you named is I believe they are on Amazon. So you might be able to check some of those out.
Yeah, a few of them are still in theaters, but you could definitely check a few out. So Good Time's on Amazon?
Good Time's on there. Cosmopolis, which I don't even know
that is a David Cronenberg, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, David Cronenberg.
Lost City of Z is on there. High Life is on there. Almost all his movies are on there. So
check out a few of his movies and see what we're talking about. Because
but until then, we've got Good Time.
We have Good Time. But yeah, I'm a fan of Robert Pattinson. I'm glad that he's being able to do what he wants. My movie, if we should get into that, is available on Netflix. Yeah, Netflix. Netflix sponsor us.
Nice.
I got a surprise for you.
Ooh.
Remember how I said I would never pick a romance?
Yes.
This is a romance. It is Eagle versus Shark, directed by Taika Waititi, written by Taika Waititi, based on the story by Lauren Taylor and Taika Waititi. It is starring Lauren Taylor, Jermaine Clement, Joel Tobeck, and Brian Sargent. It tells the story, it's the tale of two socially awkward misfits and the strange ways they try to find love through revenge on high school bullies, burgers, and video games. Again, I have seen this movie, but I saw it maybe 15 years ago. Oh no, that's mathematically impossible. Maybe 12 years ago. That's the second time I've done that. Maybe 12 years ago, and I don't remember much of it, so this will kind of be like a new viewing for me.
I'll absolutely watch anything with Jermaine in it.
Yeah, and directed by Taika Waititi.
Exactly.
But so yeah, that will do it. That next week's movies are Good Time, available on Amazon, and Eagle vs. Shark, available on Netflix. Netflix sponsor us.
Oh, please.
And
before we get further, hold on. I got a little more gossip I want to talk about. Did you see what Taika Waititi is directing?
Oh yeah, he's directing a movie where he plays Hitler, even though he is Jewish and Maori.
Not that.
Not that. Oh.
I mean, obviously that's a big one. But did you see what else he's doing?
Akira.
I don't know how I feel about that. Did you see Akira?
I did not see Akira.
I did want to talk to Tony about this specifically.
Is that that's an anime, right?
Yeah, it's an anime movie.
Yeah, that's probably why I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good. It's really fucked up, but
yeah.
It's a classic, and so it's very dark. So seeing him doing something very dark is just it's kind of a scary thought, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, Grant, I think he could probably pull it off. It's just I want to know how he'll do it.
Yeah, but I love Taika Waititi, so I'm excited for anything he does. But that will do it for this week. As always, you can follow us on Instagram, Keystone_film_review. On Facebook, we are Keystone Film Review. Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I am Glenn KFR.
And that will do it for this week. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.